Hello. I see some people walk. hmm hmm Yeah, just finna share some moments. hmm It was a lot of disruptions that happened due to Barack Obama before he became president of the United States, even before he started working in the state of Illinois. This guy they called Troy Brown, who has been incarcerated before in federal prison here in the United States of America. About the woman he dated, Diane Teresa. I even had a joke about her on here on TikTok that I actually told her. I was at the lights one time and all of them was in the car together. Her kids and Troy Brown. This is the first incident. I was in my I always had nice vehicle. I had just got that Benz. Spank brand new Benz. Uh-huh. Now let me get to the chase. I'm going through the light. I had the light. It was green for me. And she hit my car. She wasn't at a fast pace. And I told her, because she cockeyed it. I said, I don't know where you're looking, but you better start driving where you look. That's where that joke come from her that was floating around. But that's what I told her. Her kids and Troy Brown started laughing. So anyway, I was working at St. Mary's Hospital, where I was over the hospital and had the fires, the best emergency room around. Yes, I did. I got everything intact. I'm very serious about my positions. You know, I'm very serious when I hold positions. I take, employment serious. And if I don't like it, I know to quit. You know. But let me get to the chase. I told you all I had already knew Queen Elizabeth them and Prince Charles and Diana and them, and I knew all of them. They came to see me first. hmm Yeah, they was checking on me. You know, other people from other countries also came to see me too. hmm You know, it's a lot of other people in these countries that's control over other countries. They're not prejudiced or anything like that either. They always welcome me. I told you when I needed their help to help build my country, they helped. You know what I mean? Why too? Because they got paid and they could do the job, but they did not reject anybody from their country coming to help. At first, they did in Russia. They checked everything out to make sure it was not a bunch of bull crap. I said, go ahead and check me out. And this is going on. And he said, they was like, wow, there's nothing there. No, it's not. I said, well, he said, well, who built the bank in Toyota? I said, I did that. I said, I had made sure I built the bank first. Uh, and so people could have somewhere to sleep too. It's toilets in there, toiletry, and they could lay down and all that type of stuff till everything could get built up. Guys from Russia came to Dubai, checked everything out. Sure, they can come and work here, and it's just safety. I understood. I didn't find it negative or anything, you know. So anyway, let me get back to Prince Charles, Queen Elizabeth. Now I told you I had already met them. hmm I had already been traveling anyway. hmm I had already been there before. I had the best summer everywhere. Me and my children. hmm People come see me, I go see them, or whatever the case may be. We're gonna meet each other because you know one hand shakes another. People, So I was at work. Somebody had called Prince Charles, Queen Elizabeth, and them threatening them, and uh, Diana, and all that stuff. All this stuff happened right before Diana, quote unquote, became unalived in a car accident. Y'all remember that? When they both went through a tunnel and this, that, and the other. But anyway, before all that happened, they was threatening now. Charles called me. He said he kept calling back the phone, and people was just cussing him out, threatening them, and this, talking about their family going to die, and talking about they know he my uncle, and just he was like, what in the world is this? But they're calling from my phone, my home phone. Now they knew I worked at the hospital. They called the hospital. He said, your kids? I say, my children are not old enough. And I say, Bruno. I say, Bruno has a nice mild. There's nobody, at my house. He said, well, somebody's calling her. He said, where your kids' nanny? I said, she's not there. I said, my kids are over her house. Where, she took them over her house with her son, because she wanted to go home and, do her laundry and stuff. He was like, oh, okay. I said, what's wrong? He said, somebody's calling and this. We had them check the lines coming from your home. I said, let me call the police and see if they can go by my house. And the police caught them messing with the outside box line. You know the box that's outside your house when you have a phone line, a home phone. The box that the phone company, when they come out to check your line and make repairs, that's the box they go to. They check the inside, outside, to see what's not working. But the police caught them, and that's what they had did. Okay? And it was Shine and Shannon and Mama Diane, or her name, Teresa, whatever her name is, and her man, Troy Brown. Same one that dated her daughter, and got a daughter by her daughter. So anyway, let's go back. So Prince Charles popped up. He had asked me ahead of time. He said, what days do you be off? And I'm talking to him. I'm at work. And an emergency came through. I said, the ambulance put, I got to get off the phone. He said, you sure? And I said, Charles, I can't talk right now. I said, don't you hear the sirens and stuff? He said, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. But he was on his way already. Oh, yes, he did. He was already on his way. So he made the East St. Louis. He called me from his cell phone. He said, I'm here. I said, you're where? I'm looking. He said, come outside, find out where they lived at. He had his intel was on him. And he promised the United States government he was not going to kill them. We was going to talk to them. Because he had drove from there here to the United States. And he told me that he was already in traffic. Well, not traffic, how we say. He was already on the highway and on the road. When they threatened his family, he was really confused. Why they think we're related? These people really don't know you. I said, no, they really don't. I said, they just rent from me. I said, yeah, they're going to have to go. But he was there. He had made it. He got out the car and they trying to act all tough. Diane talking stuff to me. Teresa, Shine and Shannon, their mama. She got all these different names. I even had turned things into the Social Security office too. That's another subject. It had a lot to do with this too. That's what made me start looking more into stuff and hiring HUD to be, using HUD guidelines for as my rental property. So they would have to submit their birth certificate and Social Security cards and all that stuff, So, anyway, Diane talking stuff and threatening, and I smacked the mess out of her. She fell. When she fell, she pulled me down. And she jumped up real quick. I'm finna get her. I said, oh, and I know some moves. And I grabbed my leg and I did a fold lock. And she fell on her back, slammed and bust her head. I said, yeah, you never kick a lady while they down. I ain't finna let you, do this and that. So, Troy Brown attacked Prince Charles. I'm talking about the Prince Charles, Prince Edward and all them. And his driver got out. I was like, you're going to leave our Prince alone and this, and that. The driver had on slick shoes. Okay, his shoes was not non-grid, non-slip. He had dress shoes on, so he slipped a little bit. George said, it's fine. Like he said, I knew you might have wore the wrong shoes. Anyway, I told you that at first. He said, but that's my fault. You did not have enough time to change shoes, and I was very upset, especially when people are threatening my family. So they're gonna kill somebody. hmm So Troy get out there, swung at Prince Charles. I don't care who they is. They talking how they don't care about, we don't care about no kings and queens and prince stuff and all this stuff. Uh, Troy saying all type goofy stuff too. He ain't know nothing about who reigned and all this stuff or what's going on in other countries. Unlike the United States, we have presidents. Yeah, in other countries they have democracy, and monarchy and all that. He had no knowledge of that stuff. But he swung again. Prince Charles beat up Troy Brown. hmm He sure did. Troy Brown, a little while, he started talking, man, telling he was gonna take over my store and all this other stuff, and one thing after another. Just started just doing stuff with Teresa. They call her Teresa Diane Norman Scott and her kids and all this stuff. Even this dude that hung around them, they was calling Uncle Phil. So when Phil found out what really happened, he said, man, you crazy. He said he was talking about how they gonna be in trouble for treason and all this other stuff. Man, y'all tripping. Phil was like, I read something about how he read about that stuff in school. He said, man, didn't I tell you she a real queen? She in the books. Didn't I tell you that, Troy? Years had them passed, all this stuff going on. Troy's trying to ease himself up around me. I'm talking to him, but he causing problems. Boom. The woman, Diane Teresa, daughter, know I got severe allergies, but she don't know what make me tickle this, and that. And this lady named Geneva and them and everybody else around my other kids, my kids' friends and stuff, they know. Everybody, he come over there. Oh, you feel like cooking? Oh, I bought this fish. I want some spaghetti and garlic bread and salad and all this other stuff. Cause one thing he do know I can cook. They talking about, oh man, she eat that, she gonna die. I'ma die. For what? Now, don't get me wrong. I tell everybody I'm allergic to tomato products. Anything tomato. When I order me a pizza, I order it without the robusta sauce or tomato sauce. I don't get that on there. And honestly, it tastes good. It really does. You don't even have to get the garlic seasoning stuff on there. The garlic and butter. That tastes good on there too. And sometimes I just get everything on that because the dough itself holds, and when the meat and cheese and everything blend together, it's all right. That's how I do at Pizza Hut. And another note, I own Pizza Hut. We got the personal pan. You get 4 wings, boneless or bone in, or you can get some fries with it for $6.99 plus tax. Mix and match. And I own Domino's. Yeah. I owned a lot of, Sabaros, and when it was up and running, a whole bunch of other stuff. I even had an all-you-can-eat eatery. That group called the Fat Boys. That was on the show. That movie I created, Fat Boys. They used to beatbox and stuff. And on there they show how they was at this eatery in New York. All you can eat pizza. But it was other stuff there. But the main goal was, hey, all you can eat pizza. And you pay $5 to get in or $7 or whatever. Eat as much as you can. I owned that too, and I had one in St. Louis, Missouri, downtown. And everybody loved my Sabaros too, because I had the thickest pizza around. I also had owned Papa John's, and oh, what's the name of the other place I had? I was gonna say Showbiz, but Chuck E. Cheese and all that. That's more for the kids. I can't even think of the other place. Everybody used to love going there too. It's a big packed. But anyway, ain't enough about food. So, but these things happen for no reason at all. You know, no reason. And every time, time kept passing, they kept threatening and being nosy. They all in everybody else's business, thinking they joining on the squad, a team, and a hate Shonda team. You know, Suge Knight's son, his first one, had told them to shoot me and all this stuff. That was his mom. I don't have any children by Suge Knight. And the dude shot me. And I broke his jaw. It didn't even really hurt. He shot me close range back here. And I turned around and hit him in his jaw. All this was cracked. They got the x-rays, the feds. I told them the date, around the time. I hit him one time. All this was messed up. His son, Lil Shannon Jr., I'm a doctor and all that. He like, Shonda, a doctor? Dad, you got a toothache or something? He telling me, hey, you gonna help my dad? I said, no, your dad need x-rays and everything. That mouth of his is something else, ain't it? He told him some, yeah. He said, I think somebody hit my daddy or something. Because he was crying last night. He got a toothache. Yep. But anyway, causing problems. This other guy that be around them, Kenneth Boy Graham, they called Kenny Bo. I had already got him in federal court because he was lying about a bunch of stuff, and they told him to bring his family to court. And he gave them information about everybody he knew but his family. The courts don't play that. The courts don't play that. So, that stuff was not kicked under the bucket or taken lightly. Even the man that was saying he was his uncle, we saying he was his uncle. So that's how I knew of him, Didn't know him, though. But my point to this is that he told this guy, Hachi, which is JT. His family was calling him JT because that's his initials, first and last name. But I started calling him Hachi. So his family was like, yeah, that's better, So anyway, and he white. And he looked like he mixed, but they family white, and they just got a nice tan to them, like they was born on the beach in the sun. So, he telling Hachi, somebody told me they're gonna kill Shonda, do this and do that, and all the time the guy Kenny Bo tried to kill me. He stuck me with 4 syringes of an unknown blood substance, which turned out to be animal and human blood. I have severe allergies. I broke out real bad. I'm like, what animal was that, and where y'all get human blood from? Something was wrong with it. All of that made me sick. You see how I got this little one nodule right here? How y'all been, I have a lot of faithful people on here. And I had a whole bunch of this on my body, all over my face, everything. You see how the little spot I be having right here? The one I told you, yeah, it's going away slightly. I had all that stuff all over me. And luckily I knew how to treat myself. I called the hospital, coming in like, you coming in, Dr. Williams? Yeah. They thought I was brilliant. They said, whoa, what's wrong with you, sick? Who you bringing in? I say, look at me, myself. Get me this, get me that, give me these antibiotics, give me all this stuff. I had to use up everything that was available in the emergency room to keep myself alive. Had them go to my liquor stores and everything that was close. Give me that diphenhydramine. I need all this stuff. For itching and, irritation to calm it down and other stuff, Before it's other stuff, yeah. I got myself stable, but I was sick as a dog. hmm But he had told Hachi that somebody was after me all the time. It was him. And Nene and them told him, "You wild?" Benzino said he didn't know I'd get sick like that. But he said he had to intervene because he didn't know what Kenny Bo was on. But Kenny Bo had already came to me talking about, oh, they said shoot you and gonna kill you. Who said it? Cause see, that's type he told me that. Then he told Hachi that. But it was him the whole time. Cause one night he did walk up on me with a gun and I had mine. What? Oh, hold up. That's what he killed. I ain't gonna do this. I was just doing this. So after that happened, I seen him one day. I got better. I'm back out on the field. Got my gun on, badge and everything. He just started bothering me. I mean, a lot of people was around when that happened. He had a gun. Told me he's finna shoot me, going to kill me. Now, you know, being a federal employer or even in law enforcement, you know I had a larger caliber gun. And I would have knocked I might have got shot. I wouldn't have died. But if I would have shot him, he would have, you know. So he talking trash. And I had my official belt on, you know, law enforcement belts. But it was mine, my personal belt that I got made at the leather shop. Okay. One of my kids' daddy got that for me for my birthday. So, because I like stuff like that. And I took the belt off. And this guy Rollo took the gun from me. He said, "Man, you gonna die. Why is you messing with her? You see what she got?" As soon as he took the gun from him, you know, I couldn't shoot him because he didn't shoot me. But I was in a position, since he had already threatened my life before and almost killed me, I could have went on and let loose on him because he was at a spot where he didn't supposed to be. He didn't supposed to be in that area where kids live at. He had so many wrongs against him. Nothing was right. But I took off my belt and I beat the hell out of him. I drew blood from him. He would have thought he was a slave. I was like, okay, this. He had this friend named DC. You know, he do porn and all that. That's type people they are.